Alright guys, let me ask you something. Remember rushing home from school in 1987, throwing your backpack in the corner, and flipping on the TV just in time to hear that iconic theme song? But here's the thing. Everything you thought you knew about DuckTales, you're about to find out it was built on lies, corporate manipulation, and some of the most expensive gambles in television history. I'm talking about a $20 million risk that accidentally created Fox Kids. Voice actors who'd been playing Scrooge for over a decade before the show even started, and why Donald Duck, the most famous duck in the world, was basically exiled from his own family's show. Look, I've been obsessed with this stuff since I was a kid, and I spent weeks digging through production documents, industry reports, and interviews that most people have never seen. What I found blew my mind. See, we all think we know DuckTales, Saturday morning cartoon, right? Wrong. This wasn't just some kid's show. This was Disney's nuclear option to dominate television.
Looking to get something for nothing.
That's true, Scroogey McBillions, and I am the best at getting something for nothing.
And the secrets behind how they did it, they're absolutely wild. So buckle up, because I'm about to take you behind the scenes of one of the most influential cartoons ever made. We're talking about corporate espionage, international currency crises, and creative decisions so controversial that the original comic book creators literally put up signs at conventions to distance themselves from the show. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand why DuckTales wasn't just a cartoon. It was a cultural weapon that changed everything. 1. The mega money episode gamble. Okay, let's start with the big one. You know what most Saturday morning cartoons cost to make in 1987? Maybe $50,000 an episode if they were feeling generous. You know what Disney spent on each episode of DuckTales? $300,000 per episode. In today's money, that would be $833,570. I kid you not. Let me put that in perspective for you. Star Trek, The Next Generation. You know, the show with actual spaceships and special effects that cost about $1.3 million per hour-long episode. DuckTales was spending nearly a third of that on a half-hour cartoon about ducks. This wasn't just expensive. This was insane. Disney's total investment, $20 million. In 1987, money. That's like betting your house, your car, and your kid's college fund on a single hand of poker. But here's the genius part. They weren't just making a cartoon. They were building a wall. A financial wall so high that no other studio could climb over it. They basically said, you want to compete with us? You better have Hollywood money. And it worked. While everyone else was making cheap garbage, Disney was producing what looked like theatrical quality animation for television. They didn't just raise the bar, they launched it into orbit. 2. How DuckTales accidentally created Fox Kids. But here's where it gets really crazy. Disney's plan worked so well, it backfired spectacularly. See, when DuckTales hit the airwaves and started pulling in massive ratings, every other network executive in Hollywood had the same thought. Holy crap, there's serious money in kids' television. Fox, which was barely even a real network at the time, looked at Disney's success and said, we need to get in on this. And that's how Fox Kids was born. Disney's dominance was so complete, so overwhelming, that it literally forced their competitors to create entire programming blocks just to try to keep up. Think about it. Without DuckTales proving that high-quality kids programming could make serious money, we might never have gotten shows like X-Men, Spider-Man, or Power Rangers. Disney didn't just make a successful cartoon. They accidentally created the entire landscape of 90s kids television. It's like they were so good at winning, they created their own competition. Classic Disney move, right? 3. The secret beta test nobody knew about. Now here's something that'll blow your mind. You think DuckTales premiered in September 1987? Wrong. It actually premiered 8 months earlier on the Disney Channel. Episodes 1 through 13 aired starting in January 1987, but almost nobody saw them because Disney Channel was this premium cable thing that maybe your rich friend's family had. This wasn't an accident. This was corporate strategy at its finest. Disney used their own cable channel as a testing ground. They could see what worked, what didn't, fix any problems, and build buzz among the few people who did have Disney Channel. By the time DuckTales hit syndication in September, Disney already knew they had a hit on their hands. They'd basically run the most expensive focus group in television history. And when you're betting $20 million, you want to stack the deck in your favor. 4. Why Donald Duck got exiled. Okay, this one still makes me angry. Donald Duck, arguably the most famous duck in the world, appears in exactly one episode of DuckTales. 1. The pilot episode where he drops off the nephews and joins the Navy. Why? Well, there are 3 theories, and they're all pretty messed up. Theory 1. Disney had some weird restriction about using their biggest stars in syndicated television. Like Donald was too good for weekday TV or something. Theory 2, they thought kids couldn't understand Donald's voice, which is insulting to kids everywhere, by the way. But Theory 3, this is the one that really gets me. They were worried Donald would upstage Scrooge. They literally exiled the most beloved Disney character because they thought he was too charismatic for their new show. Can you imagine? It's like making a Batman show and deciding Robin is too distracting. Donald Duck created the entire Duck universe, and they basically wrote him out of his own family's story. 5. The Geopolitical Makeover. Remember Flintheart Glomgold, Scrooge's rival? In the original comics, he was South African. In the cartoon, Scottish. Now you might think, so what? Scotland? South Africa? What's the difference? Well, in 1987, there was a huge difference. This was the height of the anti-apartheid movement. South Africa was basically a pariah state, and American companies were getting hammered for any association with the country. Disney looked at their $20 million investment and said, "We're not taking any chances." So they made Glomgold Scottish, just like Scrooge. Suddenly, instead of any political baggage, you just had two Scottish businessmen competing with each other. Clean, simple, and completely controversy-free. It's actually pretty brilliant from a business standpoint, even if it meant changing decades of comic book history. 6. The color coding revolution. Here's something that seems obvious now, but was revolutionary at the time. Huey, Dewey, and Louie wearing different colored shirts. That was a DuckTales invention. In the comics, they were identical. Completely identical. You couldn't tell them apart if your life depended on it. But Disney realized that for television, and more importantly, for merchandising, they needed to be distinct characters. So they gave Huey red, Dewey blue, and Louie green. Suddenly, instead of selling one generic nephew toy, they could sell 3 different characters. Instead of one lunchbox, they could make 3. It sounds cynical, but it was genius. They took 3 identical characters and turned them into a merchandising goldmine. And it worked so well that every version of the character since then has kept the color scheme. 7. The currency crisis that almost killed season 1. Remember how I said Disney was spending crazy money on animation quality? Well, to get that quality, they outsourced most of the work to Tokyo Movie Shinsha in Japan, one of the best animation studios in the world. But here's what they didn't account for: international currency fluctuations. See, Disney was paying in dollars, but the work was being done in Japan, where costs were calculated in yen. In the 1980s, currency values were all over the place. The Plaza Accord in 1985 had completely reshuffled international exchange rates, so Disney would budget for an episode in dollars. But by the time they actually had to pay for it, the yen might have strengthened, making everything way more expensive. We're talking about a show that was already the most expensive cartoon ever made, suddenly becoming even more expensive in real time. Disney was basically gambling on international finance markets just to make a kids' show. Fortunately, the show was successful enough to absorb these cost overruns, but it shows just how risky this whole venture really was. 8. The 65-episode marathon. You know what a normal TV season looks like? Maybe 22 episodes if you're lucky. You know how many episodes DuckTales produced in its first season? 65. 65 episodes in one season. Why? Because syndicated television has different rules. If you want to air a show 5 days a week, you need enough episodes to last 13 weeks before you start repeating. That's 65 episodes minimum. Think about the logistics of that. Disney had to produce more than 2.5 normal TV seasons worth of content, all at once, all at that insane $300,000 per episode budget. They were basically running a cartoon factory. And you can see it in the show. The animation quality varies wildly between episodes because they had to farm work out to multiple studios just to meet the deadlines. Some episodes look like Disney movies, others, well, let's just say they look like they were animated during a coffee shortage. 9. The Orchestral Rebellion. 1987 was the height of synthesizer music in television. Everything sounded like it was made on a Casio keyboard. Cheap, electronic, and forgettable. Ron Jones, the composer for DuckTales, said, "Screw that," and used real orchestras. While every other cartoon sounded like a video game, DuckTales had this rich, cinematic score that made you feel like you were watching a movie. Jones understood that if Disney was spending movie money on animation, the music needed to match. And he got weird with it too. Gyro Gearloose's inventions didn't sound futuristic. They sounded like 1940s factory equipment. Jones was deliberately making the technology sound retro, which gave the whole show this timeless quality. That orchestral score is probably why the DuckTales theme song is still stuck in your head 35 years later. You can't hum a synthesizer, but you can definitely hum a melody played by real instruments. 10. The hidden musical connection. Here's something only serious music nerds have noticed. Launchpad McQuack's theme music and Armstrong the Robot's theme music, they share the same melody. This wasn't an accident. Ron Jones was subtly connecting these characters through music. Both Launchpad and Armstrong serve the same narrative function. They're well-meaning but flawed helpers. Launchpad crashes planes, Armstrong malfunctions, but they're both trying their best. Jones embedded this connection so deep that most people never consciously notice it, but your brain picks up on it. It's the kind of sophisticated storytelling that you'd expect from a movie, not a weekday cartoon. 11. Carl Barks hated the mushy stuff. Carl Barks created this entire universe. Uncle Scrooge, Duckburg, the nephews, all of it came from his comics. So you'd think he'd love the TV show, right? Wrong. Barks was all about pure adventure. No sentiment, no family bonding, no very special episode moments. He once complained about Disney editors forcing him to include a nausea-inducing speech from The Spirit of Christmas in one of his stories. But DuckTales was a family show. It needed heart, emotion, and yes, some of that mushy stuff that Barks hated. Every episode had to have some kind of lesson or emotional moment, because that's what 1980s children's television required. So you had this weird situation where the show was incredibly faithful to Barks' plots and characters, but completely opposite to his storytelling philosophy. It's like adapting Hemingway, but adding a laugh track. 12. Don Rosa's Convention War. Don Rosa was Carl Barks' successor, the guy who wrote The Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck, basically the definitive Scrooge biography. He was obsessed with maintaining continuity and respecting Barks' original vision. And he absolutely hated the TV show. Hated it so much that he put up a sign at comic conventions that read, "Not to be confused or affiliated with the TV show DuckTales." He wouldn't even draw characters from the show. Fans would ask him to sketch Webby or Launchpad, and he'd refuse. In his mind, those characters didn't exist in the real Duck universe. This wasn't just artistic snobbery. Rosa saw the show's massive popularity, threatening to overshadow the comics that created it. He was fighting a losing battle to preserve the original vision against corporate adaptation. You've got to respect the guy's principles, even if his war was ultimately futile. 13. Alan Young's 13-year head start. Alan Young, the voice of Scrooge McDuck, didn't start with DuckTales. He'd been playing the character since 1974, 13 years before the show even started. Disney knew they were making massive changes to the Duck universe. No Donald, new characters, different tone. They needed something to anchor the show to the existing Disney brand. Alan Young's voice was that anchor. Anyone who'd seen Mickey's Christmas Carol would immediately recognize Scrooge, even in this new context. It was brilliant casting. They got instant credibility and continuity in one hire. 14. The character assassination of Doofus Drake. Remember Doofus Drake? Probably not, because he was this bland, forgettable, lovable guy character who showed up occasionally in the original series. Well, when they rebooted DuckTales in 2017, the creators looked at Doofus and basically said, "This character sucks. Let's fix him." So they turned him into a psychopathic rich kid villain inspired by that creepy kid from the Twilight Zone episode, It's a Good Life. Same name, completely different character. It's actually brilliant meta-commentary. They took the most boring character from the original series and used him to show how much more sophisticated modern storytelling could be. Doofus went from forgettable to unforgettable, just not in the way anyone expected. 15. The accidental pilot. Here's the final secret, and it's a big one. Darkwing Duck, one of Disney's most beloved superhero parodies, wasn't originally planned as its own show. It started as a single DuckTales episode called Double O Duck, where Launchpad gets caught up in a James Bond-style spy adventure. The episode was so successful, and the spy parody format worked so well, that Disney decided to spin it off into its own series. The original working title was also Double O Duck. It wasn't until later that they developed the superhero angle and created the Darkwing Duck character we know. So DuckTales didn't just launch its own franchise. It accidentally created an entire shared universe. One successful episode became a backdoor pilot for what would become one of Disney's most popular action cartoons. So there you have it. 15 secrets that completely change how you think about DuckTales. This wasn't just a cartoon. It was a corporate revolution disguised as a kids' show. Disney took a $20 million gamble and didn't just win. They changed the entire industry. They proved that audiences would respond to quality, that kids deserved better than cheap animation, and that there was serious money in treating children's entertainment as seriously as adult programming. And you know what? We're all better off for it. Without DuckTales proving that high-quality kids' television could be profitable, we might never have gotten the golden age of animation that followed. No Batman animated series, no X-Men, no Animaniacs. DuckTales didn't just entertain us, it elevated an entire medium. And now, every time you hear that theme song, you'll know you're not just remembering a cartoon. You're remembering the moment when someone decided that kids deserved the best and was willing to bet everything to prove it. What do you think? Did any of these facts surprise you? Let me know in the comments which one blew your mind the most. And if you want to dive deeper into the business side of 80s and 90s cartoons, hit the like button and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and remember, life is like a hurricane, but sometimes the best stories are hiding in the eye of the storm.